The LSU defense was completely revitalized in 2024 under new defensive coordinator Blake Baker. They had multiple awesome pieces along their defensive line that profile as incredibly solid NFL players. We've talked about a few of them on this channel already, but today I want to highlight a my guy in this draft class, and that is LSU edge rusher Saivion Jones. Jones is an absolute specimen off the edge and is a player who I really don't feel is getting the respect and praise that he deserves in this draft class. How high could we expect to hear Saivion Jones' name called in the 2025 NFL Draft? That's what we will be going over in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board, with over 500 different scouting reports, all of my prospect information, with combine and pro day numbers, player comparisons, advanced analytics, and so much more. If you guys enjoy my NFL draft content already, it's a quick and easy way to support the channel. Leave a comment and let me know which prospects you guys would like to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Saivion Jones. Jones has been a super solid player along the Tigers' defensive line. He's just 21 years old and has been with the Tigers since 2021. He's put up some decent numbers throughout his collegiate career. In 2023, Jones put up 18 pressures, 3 sacks, 16 tackles, and 13 run stops, and was a pretty big sleeper over the summer. But he broke out in a huge way in the 2024 season, posting 43 pressures, 5 sacks, 25 tackles, and 27 run stops, all of which were career highs. And on top of that, he forced 2 fumbles. He's a really intriguing player to get familiar with as we get closer to the draft. Jones is an absolutely fantastic athlete and has remarkable size for the position. He is 6'5", 289 pounds, and he also has 33.5-inch arms off the edge. He shows some solid bursts, but I thought his quickness and bend were definitely huge areas of strength in his game. Given his size and play style, I think Jones profiles to being a pretty versatile prospect that can play in both odd or even fronts. A constant word that comes up with Jones when describing him is relentless and violent. He is constantly moving, fighting until the whistle is blown, trying to get an angle on a quarterback. I absolutely love his mentality and the way he gets after it. This shows up as a hitter as well, where the violent mentality really kicks in. He's incredibly physical. He wants to hit hard, he wants to drive offensive players into the ground, and I love that about his game. As a pass rusher, Jones has some really good power that he can rush with. He has a strong bull rush and has shown some really solid chop moves from time to time that help him get into the backfield and create pressure. When he plays low to the ground though, I think he does a really good job of winning with power. He shows some really good stack and shed ability against the run, and I think he's a really well-rounded defender. One of the biggest wild cards surrounding Jones is going to be his burst and athleticism off the line of scrimmage. Some people think that he might not be quick off the ball, but I see it a little bit differently. I thought there were certain plays that, he didn't fully explode into his stance, where it did lead to some struggles to convert speed to power. However, more often than not, I saw high energy and really good explosiveness. I wouldn't say he's an elite athlete or incredibly explosive, but I wouldn't say that it's a weakness in his game either. The area that I do believe is a pretty glaring weakness is the lack of a pass rush plan. He doesn't have very active hands and he doesn't show many counter moves. He's really reliant on his athleticism and his power, and unfortunately, that's not going to fly consistently in the NFL. I'd like to see him add on more counter rush moves. He does win with his chop move from time to time, but if that's defended against, he doesn't really have a second move that he can go into in his back pocket. He also has the tendency to play with inconsistent pads, which limits the amount of power that he can stem from his lower body, and I think he's got some areas to clean up in his stance. I also worry about the missed tackles. As a run defender, Jones has a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes he overextends on inside runs and completely whiffs on his assignment, but his missed tackle rate is alarmingly high. He had a 26.1% missed tackle rate in 2024. That's absolutely absurd. He was missing 1 out of every 4 tackles, and that's just not going to get you a lot of playing time in the NFL. He has to clean up some of his tackling inconsistencies, which I also think stems from an inconsistent stance, and he's got to do a better job of wrapping up. Saivion Jones is one of my favorite sleeper players in the class. I think he's a better athlete than he gets credit for. He plays with a relentless motor, he's a violent hitter, and I think he brings good upside, particularly in the run. Because of the missed tackles and some of the hand inconsistencies, he is lower on my board, as I have him as my edge 21. Remember, this is an absolutely loaded group, and I still believe Jones can be an impactful player in the league. He's my number 120 overall prospect in the class. I think Jones is a very scheme-versatile prospect. We mentioned, I think he has the skill set to play in both odd or even fronts, but I think he works best as a 3-4 defensive end. LSU did a good job of kicking him inside, and I thought he did a good job. Some of his best reps in the run game came from the interior, and while I think he is versatile, I think he is best suited to playing on the inside in the NFL. My player comparison for Saivion Jones is Arizona Cardinals defensive end LJ Collier. Collier was a big-time athlete out of TCU that unfortunately hasn't panned out in the NFL. He has some missed tackle rate issues, but brings line versatility and explosion off the line of scrimmage. He can defend the run, rush the passer a little bit, but has some issues when it comes to counter moves. I think Jones is a better player than Collier and will ultimately have a better career, but in terms of play style and body types, I think they're very similar. Sai'Vion Jones is relentless. He plays with a high motor, and he has some super intriguing athletic tools. He has some areas of inconsistencies that I would like to see him get cleaned up, but ultimately, I believe that Sai'Vion Jones will be a 4th round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.